This
Okay.
conference will now be recorded.
Hey guys. So good morning, everyone. Let's start with a quick questionnaire on the so far completed topics. Again, as I always keep telling you, please try to be a part of live session, irrespective of whatever the situation is. Even if you are not able to connect through laptop, try using your mobile and connect. But maximum try to be a live part of the live sessions. Okay, and whenever there is a mock interview or a quiz kind of thing, don't skip the sessions. It's okay even if you don't answer in the sessions, that is okay, but this is going to help you because it shows what is your current standard of learning versus others. So it shows whether you need to put more efforts to be up to date with others. Okay, it also helps you in learning the concepts again and again, recapping, and the corrections which I'm going to do in the examples or your confidence levels or in your understanding is going to help you a lot. So it is 100% okay to be in a session and to not answer the questions if you don't know, but it is not okay to not be a part of the session, because few people, what I see down the lane is, whenever I see there is a mock interview, half of the strength will stop coming. That is not a good thing. This is going to impact you in the longer run. So this is all just a preparation for your interviews. So always be a part of the sessions whenever we have a mock being conducted. And yesterday somebody requested me to do this on a Sunday because they are not available on Saturdays for something. Okay, somebody is not able to hear me. So I'm just texting. Okay, let's start. Just allow me a second. Raghava, you are in the sessions from day one, right? I hope you are not new.
Yes, Nikhila.
Okay. So Raghava, if a person joins a project, okay, and you are already a part of the team, how do you grant him access to your application? What are all the things that you are going to create to grant him access to your project?
I think we should create an operator ready for that new joining,
Hmm.
and whatever the access group of our application, right, that we will give him by default.
Okay. Okay. And anything about the portals?
Yeah, I mean, let's say if he is only a person who is going to work on approving, like he's a manager, then we'll only give him a manager portal approval. I mean, manager portal by default.
Mhm. Okay. Perfect.
Uh,
So just your answer is correct. Just rephrasing it, Raghava. So when a new person joins a thing, the first thing that we need is operator ID. Now inside the operator ID, we have to mention the access group. So please identify the role of the person. Means is he going to play the role of a developer or a tester or a admin or a manager? Depending upon the role, we are going to give him the access group. And in the access group, depending upon his role, I will tag the portals and roles inside it and the application. Okay, so perfect, Ragwa. And just remember that, guys, in real time projects, okay, we don't manually create the operators. Okay, we have a process. Every company has a process. So go check with your team. Generally, they will have some portal where you have to raise a request or a ticket kind of thing. So only after the approval, automatically the operator IDs will be created in Pega and you will be able to log in. Okay, but in the back end, through code they are creating operators. However, it is we don't manually do the things. That is because for security reasons. See, I can grant access to anyone, right? So what they do is, just for security reasons, they will ask you to raise a ticket, and the ticket goes to multiple levels for approval. Okay, and only if everybody approves through code, automatically operator IDs and access groups will be mapped and they will allow you to log in. So this is how it behaves in real time. So when you join any project, just ask your team, how can I get access to this application? Okay, don't ask them create an operator ID for me. Just ask them, How can I get access to the application? So then they will tell you there is a portal like this, go raise a ticket over there, and then after the approvals and all, automatically operator ID will be created and access group will be mapped, but manually they will not do the things. Okay, most of the projects it's not manual. Now the next question, Manasa. So can you tell me, like, if I'm a developer, okay, who still wants to, uh, Manasa, am I audible? Mansa, can you hear me? Okay. Rupa, would you like to take up the question?
Yes, Nikhila.
Okay. So if I'm a developer, okay, who wants to test the code like a administrator and like a user as well as a manager, I want to test my code. So what should I do? I want to look at various
Yes,
screens and
Nikhila.
test the code. Okay.
Yeah, based upon the role, we can add the portals under operator ID. We
Okay.
have that option.
Exactly. And what if I'm a developer by default? So whenever I log in, I should only get Dev Studio. So what should I do for that?
Yeah, we can always switch between portals.
Right. But how can I mark
We can
something
launch
as
the
my
portal.
default portal when I log in?
Uh, yeah, if the user is a developer, we can add
I will add
access group.
portals, but now there are four different things, right? Like
Yes.
you have admin, you have dev, you have manager, user. And every time I log in, I only want this Dev Studio to come by default.
Instead of administrator, in the username itself, we can add the role of an user as an operator ID. We can add that too.
You're close, but not exactly. Yes,
Can I
somebody
try to?
can.
Shall I answer?
Sure, please.
Can I answer?
There is a bullet point over there.
Where in
So,
portals
Radio
we need to.
radio button.
Right. So you have to
others.
mark one of the portals as
Yes,
a
yes.
default portal. Okay, only then it is going to come. Now I'll say after the practicals, how many people are going to ask me why I'm not getting Dev Studio as a default portal and getting, admin or something when you log in. So remember, whenever you log in, if you want some portal as default, you have to mark it as a default portal. Only then you will get it. Otherwise, you're not going to get it. Okay, randomly some other portal will come, whatever is marked as default. So just make sure default portals are triggered properly. Okay, now Vinay, can you tell me, like, how can I get access to multiple projects in my company?
By adding the projects in an access group, Nikhila, under the operator.
Under the operator by
Can
adding
I?
the projects under access group. How exactly will you do? Tell me the configuration. Okay,
Um,
I opened the operator ID. What am I going to add there?
in the right side, we'll having a access to applications will be there, right?
Mhm.
There I'm
Yes.
going to select whichever the applications are required based on the role.
You will select applications from the drop down, or
Yeah, from the drop down.
okay.
By adding the plus.
Your answer is correct, but there is, like, it's like, theoretically but not practically kind of answer you're giving. You should use the proper words, Vinay. In
Can
the
I say,
operator
Nikhil?
ID, yes, I
Groups.
yes.
By giving him multiple access groups, we can
Uh,
give him access to multiple applications.
exactly. So Vinay, you should say access groups. Okay. So in the operator
Oh,
ID, you will give access groups of different applications. So it is like, for example, Google colon developers, Google Drive colon developers, Google Maps colon developers. So like this, different access groups you will be giving in the operator ID, which grants him access to different applications. And please remember that generally the syntax that we follow for access group names is application name colon role. So if I'm a developer of Google, it will be Google colon developers. If I'm a tester of Google, Google colon testers, Google colon administrators. So application name colon role is generally the syntax that we follow in real time. Okay, this is general standards. Okay. Now, so operators, access groups, applications, rule sets, right? Yes. Hmm. Niveta, can you tell me what exactly is the use of a rule set version?
Hi, Nikhila. Yes. Rule set contains a collection of rules,
Hmm.
and rule set, every version of the rule set determines um, rule set version means it is considered as a patch to that application. It is not a new application, but every major and minor patches are considered as rule set versions. So, rule sets contains executable rules inside it.
Okay, but let me enhance the answer. Anybody who wants to add up to this
Yes.
answer?
Can I?
Raj, is
Yeah.
it? Yeah, Raj, please.
Yes. Rule set is for example, that every update of the code so that we can backup copy of
Uh,
the old code with the rollback.
Rollback
A
period.
right,
minor version or major. Yeah. Sorry,
exactly.
minor version, major version, or patch version is there, and create of the rules and deploy different everyone test or unity or anything of the production. It's
Hmm.
deployment after deploy the any of the create of new version. This in case of any I think default or anything, it is not successful that,
Hmm.
and updated on the patch version is anything create or update rules that is
Okay,
also deployed to anything that's
okay,
all it is.
right.
Can
So
I
let
answer, Nikhila?
Rule set version.
Basha, I'll take up the next question for you. So let me rephrase the answers, guys. Both Raj and Niveta were correct, but phrasing the answer is also important because interviewer looks for a straightforward answer. So let me just rephrasing it. It is correct, but rephrasing it. So when somebody asks you what is a rule set version or a rule set, so they are basically used for maintaining the backup copies of the application. It's just like a restore point. So, whenever we have a new enhancement or a new defect fix, we create them in the next versions. And if something goes wrong, I have a backup copy of my application, which is my previous version. Or you can also call it like a restore point. If something goes wrong, I can just roll back the latest version so that my application will behave as it is with the previous versions. So just think them like backup copies or restore points. And if somebody asks you what is the use of a rule set, the use of a rule set is, first of all, it's a collection of all the rules in the application. And secondly, the use of a rule set is, it is basically used for packaging and deployment. Now, what is packaging and deployment? Packaging means, see, once I'm done with my coding in dev, okay, and I tested it, it's working perfect, it's working as expected. Now, what will I do? I'll push it to QA, I'll push it to UAT, and finally, I'll push it to production. So, how are you moving the code? So we keep all the code that we have designed in a rule set, and this rule set we will be deploying to QA and UAT in production. Example, I created a lot of PPTs for this training. I kept all of them under a folder. So that folder, let's say, this folder, I have all my PPTs in this folder. Okay, consider all of these are like rules. All these are rules. All these rules are kept inside a rule set. Okay, and this rule set, I'm going to zip it and send it to everyone. Okay, so that is called as like packaging and deployment. So packaging means I'm going to zip it, deployment means giving it to each student. So the basic use of a rule set is packaging and deployment. Okay, so why do you need a rule set for packaging and deployment? Why can't you individually send each of these PPTs? Thing is, when you work on a requirement or when you work on a defect fix, we will create a lot of rules like this, and there is a chance you will forget couple of rules and you may deploy the code. Let's say for example, I don't have a folder like this. I kept all the PPTs on my desktop. Now there is a chance I may miss couple of documents when I mail you. Instead, if I keep everything nicely in a folder, so there are no chances of missing the documents. So that is the best part of a rule set. So rule set is basically for packaging and deployment. So whenever I create a new rule in Pega, we put it in a rule set version. And whenever I want to deploy the code, I zip it and I deploy it. So everything is at one place, right? So there's no chance of missing the code. And we just package means zipping it. And deployment is like pushing the code to QA, UAT, and production. So rule sets are basically used for packaging and deployment purpose. And rule set version is maintaining a backup copy of my application. So if something goes wrong, I can go back and have a restore point. Okay. Mm, so Basha, can you tell me about the various versions? Like various versions we have in the rule set version, the different parts. Basha?
Hello.
No, it's
Sorry.
to Basha, Mansa. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Come again.
The
Rule set
various,
versions.
yes, the various, parts of a rule set version. A major, those things.
Yeah, we have the major and minor versions as well because major, minor, and patch versions.
Okay. And can you tell me, like, how do you mention the rule set versions in the application rule form? The sequence.
Sequence is of we always go to a patch version like 0101. The patch version will be up to 99. Once it gets complete, then we'll come to the minor version like 01 to that is also up to 99, and the major version will use only at the time of changes in the application.
Exactly. But I'm asking you about the sequence, the importance of the sequence in the application rule form.
Sequence.
Yesterday we discussed.
Can I answer?
Parent and child.
Uh, 1 second, guys. Yes,
From
hold on.
minor version to major, like
Not
child to
exactly.
parent.
May
What would you
Yes,
is
Priyanka.
first we
Priyanka, please take it up.
It's three parts. First is major, second is minor, and the third is patch. Whenever there is a minor means minor changes in any version, first we will go for the patch from 0 to 99. Then we'll go in the minor section, and at last at the major section.
Okay, Priyanka. So
Nikhila, can I answer
I
this?
was asking about this one. What is the
can I?
importance
Parent
of this
at the
sequence?
bottom, child at the top.
Can I do?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. It is answered
Oh,
now. So I'm asking what is the importance of this sequence in the application rule form? So generally we open the application from here. Okay, here we have to mention all the rule sets which belong to your project. So if you do not mention any rule set, then that rule set code is not considered as a part of the application. It will not even run. So you will break your heads, I did everything properly, why is the rule not getting picked? You will start clearing the browser cache, you will start clearing the cache on the server, still the rules will not get picked. Rules will not get picked because you did not mention the rule set or its version here. So please make sure that you mention it. Now the second thing is where to mention the rule set. So this is called as application validation. Okay, what is application validation? The sequence mentioned in the of the rule sets here matters a lot. The one at the top are the child rule sets, the one at the bottom are the parent rule sets. Okay, so there is an inheritance between them. The code which is present in number 1 can reuse the code or call the code of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. The code which is in number 8 can reuse the code of 8, 9, 10, and so on. But it cannot use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 because they are its children. Top ones are the children, bottom ones are the parents. So child can reuse the code of parent, parent cannot reuse the code of the child. So this sequence matters a lot. Okay. So this is the one I was asking you, Basha. Now, can you
okay.
anyone? Let me pull somebody. Lokesh, can you tell me about rule set validation? This option.
It's a
Yeah,
old
Nikhila.
concept which is deprecated.
Hmm. So how does it work?
Rule set validation. When you open the version, you are going to add the
uh, all the rules.
Rules? Am I directly giving the rules here? Rules means flows, functions, methods. Am I giving them here? No, right? They are also rule sets, okay? Yeah, please go on mute, guys. There's some background noise.
Yeah, all the we are going to add. We are going to give the.
Sangeeta, please go on mute. Okay, so Basha, sorry, Lokesh, just correcting you. These are also rule sets only. Okay, just you're mentioning that this particular rule set is dependent on these rule sets. All of them are rule sets. Okay, so rule set validation means it's a deprecated feature. Okay, we are not using it nowadays. So in this, what we do is for every single version, you have to mention who are its dependent rule set versions. Means who are my parents. I have to mention here who are my dependent rule set versions. You have to mention. Okay, so they are also rule set versions. See,
Okay.
like this, just the dependents you have to mention. But the problem is for every single version you have to do it. Now the best part is like if you just mention in the application rule form, it is enough using application validation. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Anybody has any questions on any of this completed topics so far?
Uh,
Yeah,
Nikhila,
Nikhila,
Nikhila, I
I
do
can
have one
I
question.
ask?
Nikhila, I have your question. I have your query. Hello.
Yes, Raj, please.
Uh, is develop three developer one, developer two, developer three. They are updated the only for same login on screen. Okay, you are already spoke yesterday. Okay, that is
Okay,
one is develop.
Raj, if your question is about version controlling, we'll be starting practicals tomorrow. Okay, so then you guys will understand much better. If you still have questions, then we will take it up because once you do hands-on, there'll be a better clarity on the version controlling thing. So, other than version controlling, any questions? Let me know, guys. Version controlling, when you do a couple of classes, you will understand the things. If you still don't understand, we will discuss about it. Yes.
Okay.
Anybody? Any questions other than version controlling?
Yes, Nikhila. So yesterday, when you was trying to access from parent rule, right, in the application rule
Right,
form,
right, right.
it, we were able to access the child rule. So did you?
No,
Did you
when
get
we
to
create the application tomorrow, we will try doing it in our project. In the new project, we'll see that.
Okay, okay, sure, Nikhila. Thank you.
Okay. Now let me take up the new topics. Today's app topics. So we are going to discuss about class, types of classes, inheritance, types of inheritance, difference between class and rule set, and if time permits, we will take up enterprise class structure as well today because all these are required to do tomorrow's practicals. Operators, access groups, portals, rule sets, versions, application class, inheritance, ECS. These topics are required to kickstart building an application in Pega. So till there we will do and we'll start practicals for tomorrow and make sure everybody has PRPC installed in your machine before tomorrow's session. Now, what exactly is a class in Pega? Class is a collection of rules. What is a rule set? That is also a collection of rules. Then what is the difference between a class and rule set? Class contains only rules under it. Rules means the code that you wrote. Can be a function, can be a method, can be a screen, can be a report, can be a validation, can be anything. Rules means the code that we have written is called as a rule in Pega. So class is collection of only rules. Then what is the rule set? Rule set is a collection of rules and data instances as well. Okay. Rule set is a collection of rules and data instances. Now, what do you mean by data instances? Data instances means they are not code. They don't run. They don't give you some output. See, if I run a function, it will take some input, it will give me some output. Let's say I have a function to uppercase. Now, if I give anything in lowercase, it will give me an uppercase. That is a function. It takes some input and gives me an output. Let's say I have a function current date time. It will tell me what is today's date time. So they take some out input and they give you some output. Those are called as rules in Pega. Now, what is a data instance? They are just a record in the DB. Okay, like operator ID. It is just a record in the DB. It is containing all your data, first name, last name, you know, your manager details, your work baskets, your passwords, your username. It is just a record in the DB. Access group. It is just a record in the DB. It contains the application name, portals, roles. Similarly, the rest of the things. Okay, these are called as data instances. Now, class contains only rules, but rule set contains both rules and data instances. That is the reason rule set is used for packaging and deployment. Class is not used for packaging and deployment. So we keep everything under a rule set. Class is also under a rule set, but rule set is not under a class. Okay. Now let's look in the Pega point of view. See, this is a rule set. Okay. I have 67 rules in it. Okay. Now I'm just looking if there are any operators, access groups kind of thing under a rule set. Not under this. Let me check if it has. Now you can see access of role to object. This is a data instance. How do I say it is a data instance and it is not a rule? Simple, guys. Data instances will not have versions. See, I have rule set. This is the rule set. RS means rule set, but there is no version here. 010101010102 version is not there. So this is a data instance. Now, let's say, for example, I took this. Is this a rule or a data instance? Look at this. I have rule set. I have version also 080701. So this is a rule. This is not a rule. It doesn't have version. Okay, this is not a rule. Only rules will have version. Why? Because today I wrote 10 steps in my rule. Tomorrow I will write 12. Day after tomorrow 15. After that 20. So I need a backup copy of my old code. So we will have versions. But operator ID, we don't need a backup copy. Maybe you'll just come and change your phone number. Maybe you'll come and change your email ID. We don't need to maintain the backup copy. The latest data is always stored in the database and that's it. So these things don't have backup copies. Data instances don't have backup copies. Only rules will have backup copies. So only rules will have rule sets and versions. Data instances will not have versions. So if you open your operator ID and check, it will not have versions, but it will have rule set. See, rule set is there, no version. Open your access group. Rule set will be there, no version. Okay. Open portal. Rule set is there, version is also there, which means it is a rule, it is not a data instance. So rules will have rule sets and versions. Data instances will have only rule sets, they will not have versions. Okay. And what is the difference between a class and a rule set? Class, it contains rules under it. Rule set contains rules and data instances. Class is also stored under a rule set. So let's see this again. Going back to the rule set, let's see if there are any classes here. See, class is there. Under a rule set, I can have classes, but under a class, I can't keep rule sets. Okay. So the basic purpose of a rule set is put all the content under it, package it, deploy it. Okay. Rule sets are basically used for packaging and deployment purpose. Class, it just contains all the code under it. Now, how to identify what is a class in Pega? Just go to App Explorer. Everything you see a leaf is a class. So Pega sample is a class, customer request, data, env, folder, investigation dash, investigate. All these are called as classes in Pega. The one with the leaf icon is a class in Pega. And if you expand it, you'll be finding the rules under them. See, there is no rule set under it, right? But whereas rule set has class under it. Class doesn't have rule set under it. Rule set has class under it. So rule set is at the top. Okay, that is used for packaging and deployment purpose. So this is the difference between a class and a rule set. Now, it's already mentioned. Let me remove it. So what's a class? It is just a collection of rules. Now you already have rule set. Why do you again need a class? See, for better organizing the application, we need classes. Okay. If you take Amazon application, Amazon has Prime, Amazon has Kindle, Amazon has normal online orders. Now, if you put all the code in one single place, it is difficult for us to identify which belongs to Kindle, which belongs to Prime, and which belongs to Order. So, what we do is we'll basically create different classes. Amazon Order is a class. All the code which is related to processing an Amazon order will be kept under that particular class. All the code which is related to Amazon Prime, whether it is like Prime membership or Prime movies and all that, we put it under one class. So Alexa, a separate class, we put all the content under it. So just for organizing the code in a better fashion, we use classes. Okay. So class is basically a container just holding rules under it. Any questions on class and rule set differences and class definition?
I have a question.
Sure, please.
So if a rule set has a class, say for example, order, right? And if that order has say 20 rules, so if I put that order class into a rule set, then it will have each and every rule which
Right.
is part of that class in that rule set, correct?
Right.
Okay, so we can say that rule set basically has the classes, and classes are
Will
a
contain the
group of
code
rules.
inside them.
Okay, good, thank you.
Right. Now,
Nikhila,
examples of classes. Yes, please.
hello. Yeah,
Yes, please.
Nikhila, one query.
Mm.
Rule set also having a rules, classes also having a rule.
Mm.
Okay. So do we need it necessary that both are having the same rules or they can have different
No,
rules?
they will have the same rules. See, rule set is like a parent folder. Inside that class is like a nested folder. Inside that you will have rules.
Okay, so both means like for example, I'm having a class A and rule set B. So means if class having a 20 rules, so same 20 rules are mapped with that rule set also B,
Right,
right?
right, right. So let's say this is a rule set. Okay, this is a rule set. Okay. Now inside this rule set, I will have classes. Now inside this classes, I will have rules. They take. Okay. So I will have rules under it.
Okay, so
Now
means like rules are mapped to classes and classes are maps to rule set. So
rules.
all those rules are directly inherent means like
They are a
map to
part
rule
of the
set.
rule set, right? Now, one other thing
Okay,
that you
okay,
need to
okay.
understand is again, these rules will have multiple versions, right? So
Yes.
now that is what is important here. So the version also matters. So now, if I move this, let me pull everything off back. So now this rule set has multiple versions like this. So this is my first version. Okay. So inside this first version, I will have class, classes. I'm not able to move it. Okay. And I will have then rules under it. So it's like this. Again, under the second version, classes and rules. Again, under the third version, classes and rules. So we keep putting the things like that.
Okay. And in one rule set, we can have n number of classes, right?
100% yes. See, rule set is like a folder.
Okay.
In the
Okay.
folder, you can keep PPT, you can keep Word document, you can keep text, you can keep anything. Same way in a rule set, you can keep class, you can keep any type of rules, any type of data instances, anything you can keep. It's a combination. It contains a combination, just like you saw on the screen. See, I just applied a filter. Look at this. I have lot of stuff. I have rules, I have classes, and a lot of classes. You can see the name of the classes here. There are different types of classes. All these are classes.
Okay.
Now let's pause the questions for some time. Examples of a class. Okay. Take Paytm website. You see the right side screenshot. Now Paytm is processing movie tickets, train tickets, flight tickets, mobile recharge, bus ticket, and electricity bill payment. Now if I'm a developer of Paytm and I was asked to build the framework of the Paytm application now, just a base of the application. So what I will do is I will create 6 different classes because the workflow of a movie ticket versus online recharge versus electricity bill payment and versus others is different. Everybody has different set of screens, different set of options on the screens, different set of processing the tickets. So everything is different. They are not common. So what I will do is I'll create 6 different classes like this. These are my class names in Paytm application. Now, under this class, I'm going to put all the code which is going to process my movie ticket, train ticket, flight ticket, and so on. So, this is how we identify what should be the name of my class in real time. So, depending upon the project, you will get to know, how many workflows you have, different workflows. So, based on that, you will be creating classes like this. So, if you take Amazon application, order is one of my class. Prime is another class. Alexa is another class, like this. If you take something like Make My Trip, booking is my class. Okay. Or Make My Trip can have hotel booking as a class, flight booking as a separate class, train booking a separate class, resort booking at a separate class. So I can have different classes like this. Anybody has any questions on this?
Hi, Nikhila.
Yes, hello.
What could be the rule set name for movie tickets?
See, rule set name again, it depends upon your organization, division, framework, and implementation layers. So, which I'm going to teach you in the next 30 minutes. Okay. So, depending on,
Okay,
we create something called as, layers. Depending on the rule set names will come. I'll explain you.
okay.
Okay. Now, moving to the next thing, that is object, work object, case, instance. So, these are the general terms that we use in real time. So what is the work object? What is the case ID? What is the instance ID? So everything is one and the same. Now, what is a work object? Those who are from Java background, you must have an idea about it. But let me explain you. See, work object means it is an instance of a class. Now, what do you mean by instance of a class? So for non-technical people, I'm explaining this. Instance of a class means you have written a class, right? You wrote a class called as movie ticket and you wrote some code under it. You have written the code to display the screens, to book the ticket, to make the payment, and display the seat number, the movie show timings, the movie name, etc. etc. You will display. So I have written all the code to process a movie ticket. Now, what exactly is a work object in this case? Work object is nothing but the output that you got after processing the code which is kept inside the class. So under movie ticket, I kept some code. If somebody comes to Paytm application and books a movie ticket, so the output is nothing but the ticket that is generated. That is called as work object. So the transaction is called as a work object. So if somebody came to my Paytm application and booked a train ticket, so the output, the train ticket which is booked, is called as a work object. Similarly, the flight ticket which is booked is a work object. The electricity bill payment which you have processed. So you went, you gave your electricity bill number, you paid the amount, and now you got a message, thank you, your bill is successfully paid. And this is your bill ID. So that is a work object. The transaction which you completed is actually a work object. Bus ticket, the ticket that you booked is a work object. Recharge, whatever recharge you have completed. So that output of the code that got executed and one single transaction got processed, right? So that exactly is a work object. So work object means it's an instance of a class. Instance means like you wrote a class, you kept some code under it. Now when a user came to your application, he was able to process this transaction in your application by executing the code which is present under the class. So that output, the transaction which is now completed, we call that as a work object. Now, Amazon is an application. I went to Amazon, I added an item to the cart, I placed the order by making the payment and giving my billing and the shipping details. Now, the order which is successfully placed is called as a work object. Excuse me. Now, is this order stored anywhere in the database? Yes, because even after 1 year, if I come and log in into Amazon and I look at the order history, I can see the content in it. I will be able to see what is the order I placed, how much price, from which seller, which date it was placed, everything I can still see. How is it possible even after 1 year or 5 years? How are they displaying the data? It's because they all store it in the database. So the database can be Oracle, can be SQL Server, can be PG SQL, can be any database, but every project will use database to store the content. Nobody can store the content without using a database. Let it be Pega, let it be Java, let it be .NET, let it be Python, anybody. Let your tool or technology be anything. End of the day, we need database to store the content. Now coming back to work object concept again. If you take HDFC as my application, okay, somebody has applied a personal loan or a housing loan or a vehicle loan in my application. All these are work objects. All the loans that you have processed are all work objects. And they're all stored in the database. And if you go to a bank and say, hey, can you check my, how much is my EMI? They will pull it on the DB and they will check. Can you check how much is my principal amount? They'll pull it from the DB and they will check. So all these are work objects stored in the database. And they're coming from a class because the code is written on the class. So personal loan class, they will write the code. And when you apply personal loan, the code will execute and the work objects are created. Vehicle loan is a class. When you apply for a vehicle loan, the code is executed and the vehicle loan is generated for you. So that's a work object. Anybody has any questions on what is a work object? Is it clear? Any questions?
Yeah, Nikhila.
Mhm.
No.
Yes, yes, you are audible,
Hello.
ma'am. You are audible, but
Yeah,
there's an echo. Please mute one of your machines.
using in only PC, only in one machine.
Okay.
Nikhila, like in simple terms, uh, utilizing the service in an application, like it was an work object, right?
Right, exactly. Using the application and generating some output is a work object. But when you explain in the interviews, just tell them what is a work object. Just tell them it's an instance of a class. And when you make some transaction in an application, that is called as, object. Like you use Google Pay, Phone Pay, you make a fund transfer. So every transaction you make is a unique work object. Every order you place in Amazon is a unique work object. Every booking you do on Make My Trip is a unique work object. So work object means just the transaction that you make in the application. And class will contain the code which is responsible for generating you the output when you use the application.
Thanks, Nikhila.
So, Nikhila, All the work objects will be stored in the that table, the work object table. All it will have any limit, because if we create many work objects, all those will be stored in the table.
Yes, every single work object will be stored in the table.
There is no limit, is it? If we create like 100,
There is no
lakhs of
limit.
transactions.
Yes, there is no limit, but down the line, the performance of the application may downgrade if there is so much of data, because they have to pull the data, right? So in that case, we have different ways to maintain the performance. Like we purge the old data, we move all the old data, or we clear the old data. So there are various ways which we take care in real time. But to some extent, it's
But
like years and years. If let's say I don't store Amazon orders for last 10 years, right? Till last 5 years they will show you. Why not 10 years? Because we purge the data, we clear the old data. So there's a certain limit to store the data as well. So depending upon the application and its criticality and data usage, they will take care of all those things.
but if we want
I have a
to take a look at older transactions also, older work
As I
objects
told you,
also.
depending upon the things, see, database is going to store whatever how old it is. Now the thing is, if there is too much of data, let's say there are two applications which are 10 years old. One of the application is less used. Hardly you have maybe let's say 1 million records. So that is okay. Let's say there's another application which has like more than like maybe like 10 million records. So the performance of the application will be downgraded. So maybe you shift the old data to a different database, or you purge the old data. So the different kind of things you can do to maintain the application performance.
Nikhil, I have a question.
Yes, please.
So if we have two applications on the same server, will all the work object be stored on the same work table, or will it be separate tables per application?
All the work objects will be stored under the same table which is connected to your class. So to class, we will connect one table. So there is a class called as
Okay.
vehicle loan.
Mm-hmm.
So to that, all the vehicle loans instances will be stored. There is a class called as housing loan. All the vehicle loan or housing loan will be stored under the table which is connected to the housing loan class.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Is these objects, are they also stored in that PY stream column, or there's a separate blob table
Yeah,
for
we will come to all those
these
things.
objects?
I'm going to
Okay.
show you all that. I'll open the class role form and show you all that. Before that, let's any questions on class and object, guys? Tables, table mapping to classes, all that we are going to discuss in the next few minutes. Jay Krishna, are you in the session?
Yeah, Nikhila.
Okay. Are you clear? Any questions?
No, no, clear.
Suresh, are you good? Any questions? Okay, so guys, I want everybody to be in the session from 7 o'clock itself. So when we started the session versus now, there is a count difference of the attendees, like close to 12 to 15 participants. Please stay from the beginning of the session. As it is a weekend, try to be available.
Yeah, sure, Nikhila.
Okay, super. Now let me open the class in Pega and see how they are and how the work objects are and how we store all these things. Now, yeah, I have given a small example of work objects in real life. Have a look at this. So if you take Amazon example, look at this. All these are the orders. Okay. So this is a work object in terms of developers. We call it as a work object because this is an order. Similarly, every single thing you see here is a work object. Now, if you take Paytm example, okay, so this is a work object because I placed an order, I recharged the mobile, it's a work object. Okay, all the screenshots are taken from Google, okay, so don't look at the data on them. Now, fund transfer in a bank. Let's say you made a fund transfer. Okay. So this is a work object in terms of banking application. So work object is nothing but a transaction made into that application is called as a work object. If somebody asks you what's a work object, just tell them it's an instance of a class and it is nothing but the transaction that you make in that application is a work object. Okay, we'll discuss about work object ID as well. Now, what is work object ID? Okay, so work object ID is nothing but a unique number that you'd get for every transaction. See, if you book an order, you will have order ID. That is work object ID. If you apply for a loan account number is a work object ID. If I book a ticket, the ticket number is a work object ID. If you book a flight, the flight booking ID is a work object ID. So the unique transaction ID is called as a work object ID. Now these
It's
are the exam.
automatically generated the work ID, right?
Ah, right, it's auto
And once,
generated.
okay, this
So
is after finish with the complete the transaction is completed. The one of the booking the ticket is completed everything.
hmm,
That one is also work ID object,
object
right?
ID again. See, work object
Okay,
ID will
okay.
be generated sometimes in the beginning and sometimes in the ending. It depends upon the project requirements. See, if you go to Amazon, only after I make the payment, my work object ID or order ID is generated. Whereas if I go to a bank and apply for a loan, even before my loan is rejected or approved, I'll have a loan application number, right? So in certain cases, the work object ID is generated from the beginning. In certain cases, it happens only at the ending. So it doesn't matter. Okay. Now you can see order ID in Amazon is a work object ID. Transaction ID in a banking app is a work object ID. Booking ID in a website is a work object ID. So the unique transaction number which you got is called as a work object ID. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. If no questions, just go through the slides for a minute. Then we'll open Pega and we will look at the things. Just go through the slides just to recap.
Um, Nikhila,
Yes.
when while others are looking at the slides, can I
Hmm.
share something that I do so that
What is that?
uh, I draw the organization. So if you could take a look at that, uh, I'll have to share something.
No, no, no. Organization division
Uh,
layers you're talking about?
no, about organization of the application rule set, class rules, and data instance. I
Okay.
have a picture
See,
actually.
if I
If
switch
I
my
can
screen share,
share.
they can't look at it, right? So let them complete. Then we will switch to your screen.
Okay.
Nikhila, one rule set can have multiple classes.
Yes. Rule set is just like a folder, right? So you can have as many classes as you want under it.
Okay.
Nikhila, do we have any restriction to the rule set count?
No, there's no such restrictions.
Okay, thank you.
Nikhila, data instance and instance are both same or different?
Both are one and the same.
Okay.
Only thing is like when you say work object, it is different. Again, when you say operators and access groups, they are also work objects. Okay, we'll not dive deep into it. They're one and the same.
For defining a rule, is it mandated to create a class, or we can have a
No, no,
rules
no.
outside the?
Rules can never be like orphans. They need two things: one class, two rule set version. So every rule,
Okay.
100%, you have to give a class and a rule set version. It is mandatory. You can't skip that.
For one transaction, there will be only one work object, or it might be multiple work objects.
Multiple, right?
As we
Order is a class. Multiple people flip order under Amazon. Multiple work objects.
no, what I'm saying is adding to the cart and generating a transaction, and finally the order has been shipped.
Mm.
So these are all different steps, right? So for each step, do we have an
No,
different work
one
object,
end-to-end
or
transaction is called as a work object.
okay? And thanks.
Wonderful.
Nikhila, I have one question.
Sure, please.
If there is any code change, like we'll do in the next version and we'll deploy the code to QA. And if there is any change in the access group or privileges or role, like how can we do? Because it is not associated with any version, right?
Very good question. But that you will learn only after I teach you deployment. So these operator IDs, access groups, roles, privileges, like that, we have lot of things in Pega, which are just data instances. Okay. So for all of them, there is a different way of deploying them. Okay. So which you will be learning when I teach you deployment concept, because they are not tagged to any rule set version. So deploying them has a different way. I'll be teaching you all that.
Okay.
Nikhila, I sent you something on WhatsApp. Meanwhile, if you
Okay. You're right, Subodh. This is how it is.
thank you.
Perfect.
Nikhila, I have a small question.
Sure, please.
Yeah, if a person has done an end-to-end transaction,
Hmm.
can be considered a instance or like, right? So
Yes.
if they want to make some changes for that particular order, I mean to say a return or some kind of thing, is it going to be another
No,
in
no, no.
work
The
object or?
same. See, when you place a return, is your order ID changing? No, right? So then it is same work object.
Okay, got it.
Subodh, you can put your image even in the group, man. It helps others. I'll also try to put something like that in the PPT. Thanks for sharing.
Sure, you're welcome.
Okay. Now, back to the application. Do not worry about any of these navigations, okay? Only after you start your hands on, you will learn the navigation. So till then, just watch that. So don't worry about the navigations. Now I would like to open a class. So I can just go to any of the things which has a leaf icon here and right click on it and set definition. So the class will open. Okay. This is the class name. Pega sample hyphen customer request is the class name. And this is the rule set. Pega hyphen procom. RS means rule set. Now where is the version? See, only for class the version will be mentioned here. Generally for every rule the version will be mentioned here itself at the top. Only for classes it is just mentioned here. Okay. So class is a rule. It has a rule set. It has a version. So class is not a data instance. Okay. Those who have only rule sets, they will have data in their data instances. But class is a rule. It has a rule set. It has version. Now, I told you that every time you create a work object, it is stored under the class in a DB table. So if you make a single click on the class, just a single click on the class, oh, nothing is created, I think. Let me take you to any of my applications. Just allow me a minute. Mm, okay. So this is the class. You can see claims is a class. It is kept in a rule set called as EC and the version 010101. Now, if I make a single click on the class, all these are work objects. Okay. So you can see 8 pages are there. So all these are work objects. Work objects means somebody made a transaction in my project under claims. So a work object is generated. So you can even open the work object and see whatever data they have filled, in whichever screen they are, everything will be visible to you. Mm, I just cleared all my things today. So it's probably taking time. So you can see this is the work object. It is still in the beginning stage. Okay. So I have to keep moving on all these screens. So this is work object ID. Okay. So now I said it is all in the database. That is the reason it is coming, right? I said it's all in the DB table. Now, which DB table? How is the class connected to the table? Let's see. Now, whenever you open a class, if you go to the utmost bottom, you see this test connection to check the database table name. So if you click on this button, it will tell you, hey, your class is connected to this table to store the data. So this is my table name. PC underscore HDFC Fin EC work. See, this is an auto generated table name. So that is the reason the names are like this. Even in real time, for all your like just let's say for all your classes, you will have some auto generated table names. So these are the names. What is PC and all, we'll talk later. Okay, let's not go out of the context. So the current thing that we are discussing is I have a class. If I make a single click on the class, I can look at the work objects created under it. And they're all coming from the database. Now I would like to see from which table in the database this data is coming. So in the class rule form, at the utmost bottom, there is a button, test connection. If you make a click, you can see the name of the table from where we are fetching the information. So I can go to the database and I can pull all that. So I can go to C drive, PRPC Person Edition, PG SQL, PG Admin 4, bin, and my database. Again, not to worry about the navigations, you will be learning as we keep doing the practicals. So here in the personal edition, the database that we got is PG-admin 4 or PG SQL, you can say. In real time, depending upon your company, whichever licensing they are using, your database varies. It may not be PG-admin 4 always. Let me go to the table.
dbeaver can be used, I guess, sometimes.
Hmm?
dbeaver also can be used, right?
A database can be anything, but generally we use these things Oracle, DB2, SQL Server, these things we use. Even we use PG-admin 4 as well for some projects, for small projects. Sorry, what's
Right.
your table name? I'm just trying to see. PCHDFC. Okay. I'm in PR. Where is PCHDFC? Here it is. So here, if you see,
ZPV stream.
I just want to show them the work object IDs first. So I'm just looking for that column PYID. Did I cross it by any chance? Okay. All PX here. And hmm, you can see this. This is the work object ID column. Do you see the work object ID? This is work object ID. Okay. Now the data, you come to the utmost right, you will see all the data that you have entered on the screen. Employee ID, child account number, something, customer account number, account name, money movement ID. Like this, we have a lot of custom columns, country, state, email ID, like this. Okay. So we store all the data. And if you remember, I told you most of the PEGA tables will have this blob column, PZPV stream. So you can look at this. Just like your operator ID table, even this table has a column PZPV stream. Entire work object data, whatever you give, everything is stored in a single cell in the form of blob. Okay, so most of the PEGA tables will have this PZPV stream blob column. Okay, so important columns in this table and all will come back later. So this is a table where all the data is stored in the database. In order to know the table, just go to the class and click on the test connection button. You will see the table name. Okay. Any
Nikhil,
questions?
so
Yes.
if we are having multiple applications, if you're building multiple applications in our personal edition, all those data will be stored in the same PG admin 4, is it?
Yes, database is same, but tables will be different.
Yeah, okay. In the real time as well, right? If we are
Yes,
having,
yes.
yeah,
I mean, like
sure.
everything which is on the same server, if they're connected to the same database, then
Oh, okay. This particular server, we will
ah,
connect to the database.
right. Again,
So
see,
related.
there is a place where we'll maintain the connection between Pega and database. So if your application and my application is connected to same database, then yes, data will be in the same database. They can be different as well.
Okay, so the initial days you have given this local host name, right? Like that, we will connect the Pega to that server, is it?
See, that is just to look at the data you connected to the database. Pega to database, there is a different configuration. So, which you will be learning when I teach you the data classes topic. So, we connect Pega to database. Otherwise, how can Pega talk to the database and exchange information? So, there's a place where we do all the connections, which I'll be teaching you down the lane.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Thank you.
No problem. Now, come to the class rule form. Let's talk more in detail about it. At the top, whatever you see, this is the class name. So the class name is HDFC hyphen finance hyphen EC means enterprise claims hyphen work hyphen claims. So this is how the class names in Pega are. Okay, generally you don't find single word names. You will find names like this. Now, why are you finding it like this? In the next 30 minutes, you'll be learning why the names are like this instead of that small names like movie ticket, bus ticket, order. Instead of small names, why do you have such lengthy names? You will learn in the next 30 minutes. Now, this is the rule set name and this is the version. The first thing that you see here is class type. So, can anyone tell me what are the various types of classes you have in Java? Anyone from Java background? Hey, concrete and abstract, don't you guys? Anyone?
Abstract.
Yes, do you know the
Abstract,
difference?
I'm able to recall.
Mm. What is the difference between this concrete and abstract?
Uh, in abstract class, we don't define functions. We just call it.
Mm. Okay.
In
Abstract classes
abstract
cannot
class, there is an create object.
no,
In abstract class, there won't
abstract
be
class
object.
Yeah,
cannot have
in
object.
a in abstract class we can't create any objects, so we can use reusable that whatever the function or rules, so we can use in that abstract class. So and this concrete class it can be create for the objects, create object.
Hmm. Right, Vinod. Right. So in concrete classes, you can create work objects. In abstract, we cannot create work objects, is the definition. Now let's dive deep more into it. So there are basically two types of classes. Okay. You go to any tool or technology, it remains the same. Okay. Class, object, types of classes, they all remain the same wherever you are. So there are two types of classes in Pega. Okay, one is called as abstract class and one is called as concrete class. Now you know what is a class, right? Just now we have discussed. These are all classes and we put some code under them and we run them. Now movie ticket can be an abstract class, can be a concrete class. So type of class. Okay. So there are two types of classes, abstract and concrete. Now what is the difference between them? Concrete classes means they will have work objects under them, which means if you take a movie ticket, okay, somebody is booking a ticket under it, right? So there is a work object, which means it's a concrete class. Train ticket, somebody is coming and booking a ticket under that particular class. So it's a concrete class. So concrete classes means they will have work objects. Means somebody is going to use the code present under it and create a instance. Those are called as concrete classes. Now, if you take recharge, bus ticket, electricity bill payment, or loan or order in Amazon, all these are called as concrete classes because when I log in into the application, I will use the code under that class and I'm creating work objects. So those classes are called as concrete classes. Means they are primarily being used to create a work object. So they are all concrete classes. Then what is an abstract class? Abstract classes mean they are also classes. They will also contain code under them. But nobody will create a transaction under it. Nobody will create a work object under it. Then what is the use of them? Now let's take a small example. Do I have it in the next slide? Yeah, I have it here. Let me show you. See, let's say for example, I went to a banking project. Okay, I went to HDFC website. Now there's an option called as apply loan. When I click on it, they will ask me what type of loan you want. Do you want an education loan or vehicle loan or house loan? Which means in the HDFC bank, okay, there are three different classes. Education loan is a class, vehicle loan is a class, housing loan is a class. Now, whenever I apply for a vehicle loan, automatically a work object is created under this class. If I apply for housing loan, a work object is created under this class. Education loan work object is created under this class. Means these three are concrete classes because any user can come to the website and apply for any of these three loans. Okay. Now, very good, wonderful, concrete classes is clear. Now, where does this abstract class come into the picture then? So, in all these three concrete classes, there will be some functionality which is common, right? So, whether you go for education or vehicle or housing loan or personal loan or gold loan, first you have to register into the application. You have to log in into the application. Okay. You have to submit some documents for validation. Then all these documents and your credit score and your current CTC, current eligibility, every current EMI limit, everything will go for approval process. Only if they approve, you will get any of the loans, otherwise, you will not get it, right? So, for all these loans, there is some common functionality. So, I am a developer of education loan. Subodh is a developer for vehicle loan, and somebody else is a developer for housing loan. Now, I have written the piece of code for doing the registration, login, doc validation, and loan approval. Now, Subodh started coding and he said, like, Nikhila, as you have already done, I want to do it again. Can you share me the code? And he will rewrite it. Then another developer, Raj, came. He said, Subodh, looks like you already have this functionality, man. Can you please share me the code? I'll look at it and I'll do it again. So Raj has done it. So it's like you're wasting time, money, and effort. When Nikhila has already done the registration, login, and loan approval process, why don't Subodh and Raj reuse the same existing code? Why are you again writing the code from the scratch in vehicle loan and housing loan? Again writing the code, again testing the code, again fixing the defects. Waste of time, right? When somebody has already done it, why don't you reuse it? Because you all belong to the same project of HDFC. Project is same, HDFC. Just type of loan is different. So I thought, like, why, guys, let's reuse the code. Why should we rewrite again and waste of time? So what we decided is we wanted to reuse the code. Now, how can I reuse the code? Code in one class cannot be reused by other class. Okay, because education loan, vehicle loan, housing loan, there are three different classes. We can't reuse them. Then what is the only choice we have? The choice that we have is you all need a parent. Okay, it's just like you and your siblings cannot inherit each other's property, right? Suppose my sibling has some property, maybe some house. Can I inherit hers or his property? I can't. Whereas if my parents have some property, can I inherit it? Yes. Can my sibling inherit it? Yes. So the same way in the coding languages as well. Education loan, vehicle loan, housing loan, they're all siblings. They can't share each other's code. Then if I want to share the code, what is the only solution I have? Put it in the parent. If it is in the parent, all the kids can share it. So what we will do in real time is we will create a class called as loan. Just loan. Okay. Just loan is a parent class. And in this class, Nikhila will go and keep all this reusable code. Okay. Just allow me a second, guys. Just allow me a second. I'll be back. Sorry for the interruption. I'm back. Now, so education loan, vehicle loan, housing loan are siblings. They are all concrete classes, means somebody is going to create a work object under them, but they want to share some code with each other and they can't share because they're all siblings. So what we need to do is just put some dummy class, a parent class, and put all the reusable code in it. So nobody is going to create a work object here. It's just a reusable class. That's it. Just to put some reusable content we created. Now we put all the reusable content inside that, and education loan can reuse all these things, vehicle loan can reuse all these things, housing loan can reuse all these things, and tomorrow they said let's also give personal loan and gold loan. Now those also can reuse all these things. So loan here is just a dummy class kept or created to put some reusable code so that the childs below it can make use of it. So such classes are called as abstract classes. The purpose of an abstract class is just to put some reusable code and reuse them in the child classes. Abstract classes will not have work objects, means nobody is going to come and say, I want a loan. Tell me what type of loan, man. Education, vehicle, house, personal, gold, what? Those are the actual loans. Those are the concrete classes. Just loan doesn't exist in real world, right? There's nothing as just loan. What loan? So just loan doesn't exist. So just loan is nothing but an abstract class to store the reusable content so that the child classes can reuse it. We put it there. Did you understand? Any questions?
Little
So
confusion.
when
Mhm.
Uh,
Others? Yes, please.
Nikhila, so it's like a framework, right? So we are using the framework. So
No,
that
no,
is
don't use the
calculate.
word framework. This is not a framework. It's just a class. Parent and child, that's it. All our classes, just one is a parent class, the rest are child classes, just reusing the content. That's it.
so Nikhila,
Mhm.
we can consider this as a prerequisite for implementing a procedure, right?
Uh, no, you can take it like a best practice because
Okay, fine.
I know this code is going to be reusable. So instead of putting under my class, I'm putting in the parent so that everybody down the lane can reuse it.
Yeah, good.
Jeevan, did you understand this? Any questions?
Nikhila, so we have only two types of classes in PEGA, no other class type of classes.
Not only in Pega, even outside, go to any tool or technology, there are only two types of classes, abstract and
Okay, so
concrete.
means like so means basically means static and final, those are the under these types of classes only, right?
That is marking, that is different. That is not like type of a class.
Okay.
We
So we
mark
mark
them,
those classes.
we mark them as.
Okay.
can you please come again for the only for the abstract class?
Right, sure.
So is that just a reusable thing, or is there anything that we need to do that I?
Yeah, I'll tell it. So, Raj, whatever you posted here are all definitions, okay? I'm just trying to give them in terms of real world. See, if I tell you what is a work object, means it's a primary unit of work completion in the application, you yourself will not understand and you can't even explain it to the other party when somebody asks you. So now if I say what is a work object, means it's a transaction made in my project, that is much simple way of explaining them. Okay, so what you posted in the chat are definitions which may not actually be helpful when you answer someone. Now, yeah, we'll come back to this topic of types of classes. Now let's take another application. Okay. Now there is a application called as Make My Trip where I can book flights, hotels, trains, and buses. Look at the bottom of the screen. Okay. Now I went to make my trip. I booked a flight. So that booking is a work object. I went to make my trip. I booked a hotel or a resort. That's a work object. Train I booked. It's a work object. Bus I booked. It's a work object. Means flight, hotel, train, and bus classes are concrete classes because somebody is going to that website and making the transactions. They're creating work objects. So if you're able to create a work object, it is a concrete class. If you're not able to create a work object, it's an abstract class. So these for all concrete classes, I'm creating work objects. Wonderful, very good. Now, think this scenario. Whether I book a flight or a hotel or train or bus, I'm supposed to go to the payment screen where I'm going to select credit card, debit card, UPI, wallet, and process the payment. Then the next screen, OTP, authentication, XYZ. Then finally, your transaction is successfully processed. This is the order ID. So few set of screens or few set of logics here are common. Whether I go for flight, hotel, train, or bus, the make my trip payment screen remains the same, right? The few things remains the same. Again, whether I book flight, hotel, train, or bus, make my trip registration process remains the same, login process remains the same. So there is some common piece of code in all these bookings. So if I'm a flight class developer and Raj is a hotel class developer and X person is train class developer and Y person is bus class developer. Now what happens? Everybody has to again rebuild the screen. I'm a flight class developer. I have built the screens where they can do the payments and all. Now Raj came, he has done it for hotel, and somebody else came, they are training it for train. Then somebody else came, they are doing with bus. Why are you doing the same coding and same screens and again and again? You all belong to the same project, Make My Trip. Why do you want to rebuild the things again and again for the payment process? Why don't you build once and reuse it? Right? Why do you want to invest money, effort, and time again rebuilding the same things? That is because we all are from different classes. The code which is written under flight for processing the payment can't be used by hotel or train or bus because they're all siblings. They can't use the code. Then what should I do? I need a parent then. So we create booking class. This is a new class. I'm going to create a class called as booking where I will put all this common code for paying to credit, debit, wallets, etc. Now, will anybody do just booking? Will I go to Make My Trip and say I need a booking? No, they'll ask me what booking you want, dear. Flight, hotel, train, bus. Tell me the type of booking. So booking, there is nothing as just booking in real world. Then why did I create booking in the project if there is nothing in the real world? So booking is just a dummy class for me. Okay, a temporary class or a dummy class for me where I'm going to put some reusable content. So whatever code is common, we put it in the booking class and all your childs can use it. So flight class can use the content, hotel class can use this content, train and bus can use this content. This payment, whatever you have built, they can use it. So booking class will be an abstract class. Why? Because nobody is going to create a work object called as booking. Everybody will create a work object called as flight booking, hotel booking, train and bus. There is nothing as just booking. Then why did you create it? Just to keep it like a abstract class and put some reusable code in it, I created it. Okay. So what is an abstract class? Abstract classes will not have work objects under them. Then why are you creating abstract classes? Because we want to put some reusable code under them. As there are no work objects under them, there is no database connection done to the abstract class to store the data. Okay. Now, what is a concrete class? They will have work objects under them. As we need to store the work objects, we need a database table to store the work objects. Okay. So this is the difference between abstract and concrete. Let's go and look at the application once.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes,
If
please.
it's forward, if it's you're gonna cover later, please excuse me.
Sure.
Where all these class definitions are stored in Pega? Is there any table where
Hey,
these
everything
class
you see on the
definitions?
screen is coming from the database only. Everything you see is coming from the database.
Okay. So do we need to know the table name where class
So
definition is stored or not?
not required for us. No, we don't deal with all such things. Not required.
Thank you.
Every single rule, even workflows, methods, functions, everything is stored in the DB. Some of the other table we have it, but it's not required for us to check those things in day-to-day life.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So look at this. Okay, look at this.
Yeah, hi Nikhila. I have
Look.
one query.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so we want to reuse the classes, so we can create all those some classes in the abstract class. Okay.
You want to reuse some code,
So
so we keep them in the abstract class,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So whatever the abstract class is there, so can we reusable in other application apart from this using the one application?
Other application. So we will talk about that when I teach you ECS. Sharing data with other applications, we will talk in ECS topic. That is in the next 1 hour, we'll be discussing.
Yeah, I'm talking about the abstract class. Can we reusable
So within the
in
same
other
project,
application?
you can reuse it. Other project, I'll explain you how
Yeah,
to do and all later. But for now, within the same project,
yeah,
whatever is present in the abstract class, the child classes below it can reuse it. Only child below it can reuse it. Okay. There will be hundreds of classes in a real time project. I mean, like, there'll be a lot of classes in a real time project. Okay. Not everybody is a child of X
yeah,
class, not everybody is a child of Y class, right? So let's say X is a parent, Y is a parent. Under X, I have ABC, under Y, I have DEF. So you can reuse the content of only your parent. Others' parent property you don't inherit, right? So same way.
yeah.
Okay.
Nikhila,
Thank you.
so apart from reusing, there is there any use with the abstract
No, the
class?
only purpose of an abstract class is to put reusable code in that. Otherwise, you can go with concrete classes only, right? Why do you want an abstract? They don't even create work objects. The only purpose of them is putting the reusable content.
Okay, okay, sure, sure.
But one more question, Nikhila. Without that abstract class, we cannot generate work object, right?
No,
They
concrete
have.
classes can only generate work objects and it is not necessary to have abstract classes. Only if you have some reusable content, we use abstract. Otherwise, it's not required.
Okay.
Nikhila, you have said that only child classes can inherit from. I mean, they can inherit from the parent
Parent
class,
class,
right?
right, right.
By seeing the class, can we know whether it is child of
Yes,
that?
yes, you can. I'm going to show you that. Okay, first I'll show you where is concrete and abstract. Then I'll tell you, who are your parents, how do you get to know, and all I'll tell you. Now look at this particular class, guys. I opened it. It is named as concrete. Okay, and if you see at the bottom, there is a database connection. Now look at this class. Oh, there's another one. One moment. Now look at this class. It is marked as abstract, which means no work objects will be created. The basic difference between abstract and concrete is concrete classes will have work objects, abstract classes will not have work objects. Then why do I need abstract classes? Because we want to put some reusable code inside them so that all its child classes can make use of it. Now, if you look at this, abstract classes do not have any work objects, so there is no test connectivity at the bottom. Do you see there's no test connectivity despite this having the test connectivity? Here it is not there. Okay. Now, how can I know who are my child classes and who are my parent classes? How can you know that? So if you go to any class in Pega, if you just make a single right click on the class, you can see there is something called as inheritance. So this is going to tell you who are your parents. Now don't ask me what is pattern and directed. We will be covering that in next few minutes. So if you can see current classes claims whose parent, whose parent, whose parent, whose parent and so on and on and on. So like this, you get to know who are your parent classes. So my current class claim can reuse the code of this, and this under this. Okay. So in this, let's see what is HDFC. Is HDFC a concrete class or abstract class? We'll see. Do not look at the navigations and worry about them. As you start hands-on, you will learn all these things. So I just want to check my parent class HDFC is abstract or concrete. Look at this, it is abstract. So in HDFC, the basic purpose is just to put all the reusable content. Okay. So like this, you'll have abstract and concrete classes and they become your parents where you kept the reusable content under them.
Hi,
Now,
Nikhila. While creating classes only, we will
right.
only
Right.
select, right?
When you
Whether
create
that
class
are
itself, we have to select whether it is of type abstract or concrete.
okay, okay. So by any chance, if we do vice versa, like we are writing abstract class code, and by any chance we select concrete.
Yeah, we can save as it and we can move to concrete, but generally we never do such things in real time, but it is possible.
Okay.
Hi, Nikhila.
Hello.
Yeah, can you show the reusable code of abstract class?
Whatever you keep under that. So in this class, I didn't keep anything under it. But if you keep anything under this class, that will be reusable. It can be anything. It can be a flow method function, anything. So
Okay.
it's just the code under it. So if you see this is data, okay, this one data class, it's abstract class. If you keep anything under this, so you can see there are something under this. There's a validation rule on add validate. So these two are the reusable content which its child classes can use. So you can see these are the children classes, contact information and product are the child classes. So these two can use these two from the parent. Like this, see, they're coming under that. These two can be used by these two. So,
Nikhila,
mhm.
sorry, go ahead. So if you go on the types of classes, PowerPoint,
Here or here?
no, the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Yeah. So here you say class is an instance of Pega out of the box class rule obj class. So are you trying to say when we create a class, then a record is stored in that rule obj class Pega?
Exactly. So, yes, let me complete these 2 points. See, one thing you need to know, guys, a class can be abstract or concrete, and it can be a parent or a child. Don't think that, oh, always parents are abstract. No, never like that. Okay. A parent can be abstract or concrete. Similarly, a child can be abstract or concrete. There is no rule that parent should always be an abstract class and child should always be concrete. There's no such rule. Depending upon your requirement, you can put them as abstracts or concretes. The next thing is like, every rule in Pega is coming from some of the other built-in code of Pega. Okay, just this is just good to know. You have nothing to do with this last point. Okay, so whatever classes you create in Pega today, okay, see, I created this class. Okay, now where this is also coming from Pega's built-in class. Okay, so Pega has a class called as rule hyphen obj hyphen class. Okay, every single class you create today is a work object for this rule. Okay, so this is a class in Pega where all your classes are stored. Okay, just a good to know. Every single rule you create in Pega comes from some other rule of Pega. Your rules are the work objects for their classes. Okay, just for your info, I have written that. Don't dive deep much into
Please
it. It will be
pardon.
confusing.
Sorry. Nikhila, please pardon.
No, I'm just telling that every single thing you create is a work object to some or other Pega's class. Okay, so if you create a class today, okay, you create a new class today, it is coming from Pega's class rule obj class. Okay, so all your classes are stored here. Every single class you give is all stored here. It is just for your info. Don't dive deep much into it. As you keep working, you will understand all these things.
Nikhila, one question, Nikhila. So
Sure.
if the parent class is if the parent class is concrete class, right? So we cannot reuse it
Oh, no, no, still we
from
can
the.
reuse. See, why do you keep the parent as abstract? Because I don't have any intention to create work objects in my parent. I'm keeping abstract. But if I want to create work objects in my parent, it will be concrete. But code reusability remains the same. Child can always reuse the code of the parent. Let the parent be abstract, let the parent be concrete. Child can always
Oh,
reuse the code of the parent.
okay, okay, sure, Nikhila. Thank you.
Nikhila, if we want to make a parent class as concrete, so before only we would have made as abstract. So we can't change that, na?
See, one thing, that's what I'm saying. These kind of mistakes we do not do in real time. Although there's an opportunity to change, we don't do such mistakes. When you create a project, you should be extremely careful. It's not like today I'll keep it abstract, tomorrow. No, we don't do such things. So only senior most people in the team will take these kind of decisions, and generally the chances of making mistakes are very less in this. So initially we are 100% aware whether it should be abstract or concrete, and based on that only we will be designing them. So changing
Okay.
them after saving them, again coming back and making them as abstract or concrete, generally we don't do such mistakes. It's just disturbing the architecture of the application.
That will be decided by leads or architects, is it, Nikhila? Whether
I mean,
we
like
have to
any
put.
senior most people in your project will generally take care of these decisions.
Okay.
Nikhila, you also said child class can be abstract class, but
Yes,
we
100%.
won't be
Oh,
using.
see, simple man. A child is again a parent to somebody else, right? So in that terms, it can be an abstract. So you have
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z. X is concrete. Y is abstract.
Okay.
X child is Y. So it is abstract. But Y is a parent of Z. So it is abstract. So that way I'm saying it. Anybody can be anything. Parent or child can be anything. Because they will again have their own child classes, right? So they can be anything.
Nikhila, so in concrete class also we can reuse, right? Then why do we have abstract? In abstract also we'll reuse
Because
and
you are 100% sure I am not going to create any work objects. So if you say abstract, I need a database table to be maintained. But I'm 100% sure I will not have any work objects. So why do you want to establish a connection with database, maintain a table, create columns in that? All that is not necessary, right? But because you know I don't have any work objects. So why do you want to do that extra piece of work? So we strictly keep it as abstract so that even down the line nobody is going to create work objects under that.
okay, like any example, Nikhila, why do we not create work objects? Any requirement like that we don't
I just
need
told you
work.
all these are. Nobody will create just loan in the project. Nobody will do just booking in the application. You either use education, vehicle, house loan, or you either create book, flight, hotel, or train. When there is nothing as just loan and nothing as just booking, why do you want to maintain a table, columns, connections, and all that? Not required, right? So you mark it as an abstract.
Okay, okay, got it, Nikhila. Thank
So
you.
we are clear when we create them, we are 100% sure nobody is going to put any work objects under them. So we mark them as abstracts.
Yeah, got it, Nikhila.
Yeah,
Now,
hi Nikhila. Uh,
yes,
so the abstract class will not store any data. I mean, like it will not hold any data.
100% yes. It will not hold any work objects. You should not say data, work objects.
So if it holds the data, then it should have a DB connection as well, right?
Exactly.
But the abstract doesn't have any
Right,
test connection.
right.
So for example, if we're registering, so I'm entering some data, right? So how
It
can
will
it will
not be
store
stored in
that
the
data?
abstract class. It will be stored in any of the child classes.
Okay.
Okay. You will understand more when we start hands on. Just have a look at this
Okay.
slide, guys. Okay. Try to understand the differences between abstract and concrete and then these examples. Then we will take a break for 10 minutes and we'll resume with the next topic. In the meanwhile, have a look at these.
Nikhila, I have one question.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have a parent concrete class, uh, and I have a concrete child. class, can it be possible under the parent
Yes,
concrete
yes.
class? I
Both parent and child can be concrete. It is possible.
okay.
As I mentioned, parent and child can be anything.
Hello, Nikhila.
Hello.
Yeah, like in abstract, we don't have this database connection, right?
Hmm.
For example, let's take this loan abstract class, the
Hmm.
registration example. I read a piece of code for registration. Um, when you enter data like first name, last name, there will be a data we enter in registration form that should be somewhere stored, right? But
They are
it is
all
written in
stored in
abstract.
the concrete class. Despite the screens built in the abstract class, data will be stored in the concrete class only. You're just taking the screen design from the abstract class. That's it. Only some piece of functionality you take from it. End of the day, work object creation happens in concrete class. So when you start the hands-on, you will, actually understand the things.
Okay.
Nikhila, shall I ask one question?
Sure, please.
So, Nikhila, when we don't have a database connection for abstract class, how will the rules inside the abstract class be stored?
They are coming from different Pega's OOTB classes. Okay, every rule you create today is coming from some Pega's OOTB class. So they will be stored in those tables. Pega's classes tables, they will be stored, not in your class tables. Suppose if you take a flow, Pega has its own table where all flows are stored. So, like this, Pega has its own classes to store the rules. Your classes are not storing the rules. Your classes are storing only work objects.
Okay, okay, Nikhila. Thank you.
Okay, now
Nikhila, one
please.
question.
Yes, last
Last
question
question.
before we go for a break. Okay, please.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, you said parent class can be a concrete class, and
Hmm.
also child class can also be a concrete class.
Yes,
But do can we reuse? I mean, can we use the
100%
parent?
yes. It is always your parent. You can reuse.
Okay,
Parent can be mother, parent can be father. Still, you can inherit the property of mother or father. Same concept here.
okay, okay.
Now take a break for 10 minutes. We'll connect back again at 9:05 a.m. IST and we will resume. Put it anywhere in the slide. Please take a break. I'll be on mute.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. I'm back. Let's resume. Just a quick recap. Class is a collection of rules. And in PEGA, every class you can see with a leaf icon. It's a class. Class contains rules under it. Rule means anything that we execute, functions, methods, all these things are rules. Okay. Looks like just a second, guys. My screen is frozen again. Guys, am I audible?
Yes,
Nikhila.
Nikhila.
Okay,
Yes,
perfect.
Nikhila.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So class is just a collection of rules, okay? And in PEGA, you can say every class with a leaf icon. Class basically contains just rules under it. So what is a rule? Any piece of code that you execute is a rule. The code that you have written and it runs and gives you some output, we call them as rules. Now, what is the difference between a class and a rule set? Class contains rules, rule set also contains rules. The only difference is rule set will also contain data instances. Means like operators, access groups, privileges, all these are data instances. Rule set also contains data instances. Class contains only rules. And the main purpose of a rule set is for packaging and deployment. Class, the main purpose is, you can create work objects in it, you can organize the code under it. So that is the main purpose of a class. Examples of classes based on the Paytm application. And what is a work object? The transaction that you make in any application, we call it as a work object. And the work object IDs are listed there. It's a unique transaction number which we call it as a work object ID. Now, there are two types of classes wherever you go. Only abstract and concrete exist. Concrete means they will have work objects created under them. Means if I have a class called as housing loan, they will have housing loan entries created under it. It's a concrete class. If I have a class called as flight booking, multiple flight bookings made under the application will be stored under it. That's a concrete class. Now, what is an abstract class? Sometimes we want to put some reusable code in the parent, but parent, we are not going to create any work objects. So classes which do not have any work objects, we call them as abstract classes. And we put only code under it, no work object creation will be there under it. And some examples. This is what we have discussed. Now, the next thing is like types of, class groups. Okay. I will teach class groups and I'll wrap the session so that it's like it will not be an overload for you. Okay, so we'll discuss one last topic for the day, that is class group. So when you open any class in Pega, basically you saw this, right? Concrete classes have this button to check what table we are connected to, and abstract classes do not have that button. Similarly, if you check here, there is a drop down here which says is a class group, belongs to a class group, and does not belong to a class group. That particular option is also not present in the abstract classes. Now, there is always an interview question on this part. Okay, so you can expect an interview question asking, what is a rule set? And what is the difference between a class and a rule set? You can expect an interview question asking types of classes in PEGA, and you can expect an interview question asking about this class groups. This is one of the famous interview questions. Okay, so now what is a class group actually? So class group means group of classes. Fine. So under one class, why are we talking about class groups now? Why are we grouping the classes? What is the benefit of grouping these classes? So how do you group these classes and all? So there is three options here. Do you see this? Is a class group, belongs to a class group, does not belong. Okay. Now what is a class group? Is a class group means my class. Okay. My class is going to act like a parent. Okay, and it is planning to share its db table. You have a table, right? So it is planning to share its db table with the child classes. Now it will be a little confusing. Let me open the ppt. Okay, let's say for example, okay, you have a table called as loan. Okay, in loan table you have different columns like loan number, loan amount, loan type, xyz columns you have. Now there are two ways to design this. One, you keep a separate table, one table for education loan, one table for housing loan, one table for vehicle loan. You keep a separate table like that. Or just maintain one common table called as loan, and in that you put the loan number, loan amount, loan type, and everything. So there are two different ways to design the requirement. Choice is yours. You either reuse the table for all the types of loans, or you keep separate tables for every single class. So choice is yours. Now let's say for example I thought, this is a very small bank. Okay, I don't have many loans. So why don't I just keep one common table, loan? In that table I'll maintain all the loan details, including the loan type. So now I want to share the table. So same table I want to use for education loan, housing loan, vehicle loan. For everyone I want to use the same table. Now how do I know which loan is what? Depending upon the loan type, I get to know which loan is what. So I want to share the table. The concept here is I want to share the table for all the classes. Okay. Now what I will do is, let me take a new one. So basically I want to share the table. So I have different classes like this: education loan, housing loan, vehicle loan, what not, various classes you have. Let me write down. Okay, so I have three different classes like this. Now, generally, we will have their own tables, right? Education loan will have its own table to store the content, housing loan own table, and vehicle loan own table to store its content. But now, what I thought is like, it's a very small project. I don't have so much of data. So instead of maintaining multiple tables, let me have one common table where I can put all the content. Okay, so what I will do is, I will first create a parent class, just like earlier. Okay, I'll create a parent class called as loan. Okay, I'm putting a parent class called as loan, and for this loan class I will create one table. For this loan class I'm creating a table loan. Okay, so I created a table called as loan. Now I thought that let me share all the content in the same table. So I want to put all the content in the same table. Now You know, right? Like generally every class has its own table, which is automatically generated by PEGA. So if you click on test connection, PEGA will automatically generate a table, the table name exactly same as the class name. But I want to share the table. So what you have to do here is, whichever is the parent class, let me open my parent class. Okay, so whichever is the parent class, okay, so in that parent class you will have the actual table. So in the parent class you have to say is a class group. So if you see here, in the loan class I have to put it as, here I will put it as is a class group. In the loan class I will keep it as is a class group. In these three classes I'll put it as belongs to a class group. In these three classes I will keep it as belongs to a class group. So what exactly is the difference? The difference is, okay, earlier every class used to have its own table, but now I want to share the table of my parent. I don't want to have separate tables for that. I just want to share the table of my parent. But Pega generally creates, it will automatically create a table for its each class. You can't stop it from creating a table for its each class. But I don't want to have a table of my own. I want to share the table. So what you have to do is, in the class rule form there is this drop down. Okay, so the parent has to say is a class group. The parent, whoever is the parent. So who is the parent here? Loan is the parent. Parent has to say is a class group. Is a class group means, hey, I want to share my table with my kids, like children or child classes. So parent declaring that I am ready to share my table with my child classes. So is a class group means this particular class, okay, it is going to share its own table. What is its table? HDFC Finance EC work. So in this table, all the child classes can put their work objects. This is parent setting. Now go to the child. See, this is parent. All these are childs. All these four are childs. Now take any one child and go to the definition. See, in the child, you should say belongs to a class group. In the parent, you should say is a class group. Where is that? Yeah. In the parent, you should say is a class group. In the child, you should say belongs to a class group. Belongs to a class group means, hey, I want to share the table of my parent. Then they will ask you, who is your parent? Give me the name. So take your parent name from the drop down. Whoever is your parent. So this is your parent, right? So take its name from the drop down and give it. So is a class group means, I am a parent class. I am willing to share my database table with my child classes. Child class will say belongs to a class group and give the parent class name, which means I want to share the table of my parent class. I do not want to have a explicit table of my own. So in this case, you will put belongs to a class group. Then the third option you have is does not belong to a class group. What do you mean by does not belong to a class group? It means I don't want to share tables. I don't want to share anybody's table. I want to have a table of my own. No sharing at all. No sharing with the child classes, no sharing with the parent classes, no sharing at all. So you say does not belong to a class group. Means this class will have its own table which is auto generated by Pega, like this. And no sharing. No sharing with the parent, no sharing with the child. Its own table, and it is going to work on it. So like this, once again a quick recap. In every class rule form, we will have a drop down. which will have three options: is a class group, belongs to a class group, does not belong to a class group. Is a class group means whatever is the table connected to that class, it is willing to share it with the parent. Now, if you take the example of loan, loan is a parent class. Okay, so in loan class, you can say is a class group. Okay, which means loan is willing to share its table with all the child classes. Now, vehicle loan, housing loan, education loan, or will say belongs to a class group and they will give the parent class name. Means they are sharing the table of their parents. Just you want to share the database table to put the content, then we say is a class group and belongs to a class group. Now, what is does not belong to a class group? Let's say I have a table called as countries. It is not reusable, right? Countries means you'll have country name. Who is going to reuse it? I mean, like nobody can put their data in it. States, cities, customer data. So, like the certain tables are there where there is no reusability. So, such tables we will put it as does not belong to a class group means no sharing of tables. Okay. Have a look at it and let me know if you have any
Nikhila, I
questions.
have a question.
Mhm.
I
Let
have
her
a question.
complete.
Nikhila, I have a
Let her
question.
complete. Yes, please.
So, Nikhila, let's say my parent class had 10 properties and my child class had 20 properties. Then how will this work?
Your parent has 10 and your oh in the see in the parent you have to put the columns for all the child as well. Otherwise it's
Okay,
not going to work.
so it explicitly you have to manage that.
Yes, of course. So in the parent you have to create the columns. Otherwise how can the child store in it?
Okay, so you create it at the top when you are creating the property.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Super.
So if I have a child class,
Mhm.
but I want to store its data in its own table. So I have to
Then
specify is not
just
belong to a
right.
class,
You can just say
right?
does not belong to a class group, or you can say yeah. Generally, yes, it is, does not belong to a class group to have your own table.
Yeah, but still I can provide who is the parent, correct?
Yes, of course, yes.
Could you show
Inheritance is
where to
different.
specify the parent?
Yeah, the next topic is inheritance, where I'm going to teach you how to specify the parents and all.
Okay.
Nikhila, is it possible that I use my parent table to store the data? Also, I want a
No,
different
no, no.
table
Only
in
one
which
table at
also
a
I want
time.
to.
Only one at a time. Either
Okay.
parent or your own table. You can't connect to multiple tables.
Nikhila, this is something related to abstract and concrete. When it comes to abstract, when it comes to abstract, we have mentioned like a reusable code can be maintained in abstract, right? So same thing can be maintained in a concrete class also. I mean, in a
Yes,
concrete
yes.
class, so we
As I
can.
told you,
So
parent can be abstract or concrete. As I told you, it's not necessary. Parents are always abstract.
in sometimes we are getting a question like, do you have abstract classes in your project? How many abstract classes you have projects? We can mention no also. That's okay, right?
If it is in PEGA, it is mandatory.
Please
We
pick up.
have some abstract classes. It is mandatory. What and all I'll teach you when we teach you ECS.
Okay, thank you.
Nikhila, hello.
Yes, Raj.
It's not remember that this one previous class I'm asking also. I think validation. What are the types of validation in
Hey, Raj.
programming language?
Okay, rule set validation you're asking, application validation.
Application validation.
Okay.
No, no, no. It's a programming language. This type of validations that is also general of two types of validations.
No, no,
One
no,
is
no.
a client.
That is
One is the
different.
client
This
side
that is different.
validation.
This is different, dear. That is in terms of code application when it runs, those validations will come. This is specific to rule set validation. Okay. How do you establish the relationship between rule sets? Is this one. Client and server side validation is a different topic. That is about the functionality. The coding,
Okay.
that is different. That we will have in the next later sessions down the lane.
Okay. Rules validation is I think three types of validations in the one is rule edit and the rule over TB and the declarative of that is
Raj,
validation of
you are
rules in the rules.
going out of the context. Let's stick to the topics completed. See, nobody
Okay.
has idea about server side, client side, or other things which are disclosing now. We will talk about them when we come to those areas.
Okay. Okay.
Nikhila?
Yes, Sangeeta.
Yeah. So abstract classes do not have the table, so we don't have the test connectivity also.
Yes,
So
exactly.
this means that the class groups concepts is there for only concrete classes.
100% yes.
Okay. Uh, Fine, Nikhila. Got it. And one more thing, Nikhila, do we need to mention, suppose in a concrete class, okay, one is a parent, other is a child. So parent class has to give in its settings that it is a class group, that it is sharing the things,
Yes, yes.
I mean the table,
It has
and
to be
also in the
mentioned.
child we need to mention belongs. Both the places
Yes,
we have
both
to
the places
mention.
we have to make the setting. So parent has to accept, right, that I'm willing to share my table. Similarly, child has to say,
Hmm.
yes, I'm willing that because there are many parents in the application. So which parent you want to share? So you have to say belongs to a class group and mention the parent name as well. So now if you see the current class name ends at claims, right? And the
Hmm.
parent class name ends at work. But look at the table.
Hmm.
Table ends at work. There is no claims here. The reason is I'm sharing the parent table.
Hmm.
So that's how it is.
So, Nikhila, where these abstract class things, for example, for every application, it is necessary that we collect some personal details. So, those things come under the reusable things, right? So, if we take those things in the
No,
abstract
don't
class,
mix
like,
data and don't mix data and rules. See, data is
hmm,
different, rules are different. So when I told you this example, let me go.
hmm,
When I told you this example, registration code, login code, documents validation code, loan approval process code we are putting in the abstract class. Data, whatever you are collecting, they will get stored in the respective tables only. Abstract classes are for code reusability. They are not for data reusability, right? Code you are keeping it as common. Because I have to write this code, again somebody else has to write the code, and again somebody else has to write the code. Instead of rewriting the code three times, I'm putting in the parent and I'm reusing it. But whatever data I collect on the screen from the end user, they will be stored in the respective tables only. Here I'm only putting the code to reuse it.
yeah, got it, Nikhila. So, only the rules which are reusable, we are going to put in the abstract class. The
Right.
data, everything that has to
Go into the
need a
respective tables.
database,
Whichever project
which
you're, I
comes.
mean, whichever loan you're taking in that particular loan or that particular class, data will get stored.
Mhm. Yeah, fine, Nikhila. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, guys, once recap the video, okay, than posing lot of questions. What you can do is, I'm wrapping up the session 30 minutes earlier because I feel that it is like little overload for you. So the next topic I had planned for today is actually types of inheritance and ECS. Okay, but looks like it's a little bit overloaded. So we'll wrap up the session here, and tomorrow we'll start the practicals only after completing the theory of inheritance and enterprise class structure. Okay, so what I request you all is go to the recording once again, although you are a part of the live session. Okay, until and unless you get master on these topics, again and again listen to the recordings whenever you find some time. Maybe you go for a walk, plug in your earphones, turn on the videos on the phone, listen to it. Traveling somewhere, plug in the videos, listen. So like this, try to recap it multiple times till you actually master on them, because day by day the complexity of the topics will increase, it will not decrease, right? But as you start doing hands on, you will become very comfortable, because what you learn theoretically now you're doing practically. So the ease will come when you start the practicals. Okay. Okay, so that's it for the day, guys. Any questions, feel free to
Nikhila,
ask me in the group after watching the videos again. Yes, please.
so Nikhila, today you had provided this PPTs even before the class. So when you were teaching, I was able to take the notes on these actual slides. I printed them out and I was able to take notes on it. So is it possible for tomorrow's class also, if you can put the
See,
PPT in
these were
advance
not
so we can
uploaded
note?
in here because it's like a continuation to yesterday's topic. I have kept it. If you want, I can keep it already in the group, in the app. Yeah, I can do it if you want to
Yeah.
keep them handy. Sure, I can do it.
So we can take
I mean, like
notes. Yeah,
those
we
of you
can
who
take
want
notes
to
on this.
use it. But those of you who are still lagging, I request you to only recap, then looking on the topics which I haven't taught you yet. Those who are ahead and comfortable,
Right.
make use of it.
No, actually, I don't look at it in advance. When you teach here and you're talking one particular slide, so I have a printout for that, so I make note on that itself.
Sure, Subodh, I'll do that. I'll share it with you ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, guys. Thank you so
Uh,
much. Thanks for attending the session. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Surya, you're audible.
Like that I've gone through the application. Like I've seen the like day one, day two regarding the PDFs and the interview questions were also there.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can also keep the I mean the after the day three, day 4 days of those interview questions also.
Which one?
Like yesterday class and today's class
Today's
from
class.
the
No, I already posted the video material and everything, right?
like no interview questions were mentioned in those things. Like
Those interview questions are real-time interview questions, and for our reference, it is provided by Nikhila. That is what.
So you can listen to the call recording, Surya.
That is
So
that is
topic
not
wise,
from class.
yeah. So topic wise, I'll cover
Nikhil,
in the session, and whenever I'm doing a repack the next day, all those are just brushing up for you in the interviews only. But towards the end of the training, start listening to all the recordings I gave you. There are like more than 35 recordings I have given. Come from the back side, like in the descending order, because descending ones are the latest ones. So if you even listen to 15 or 20, you will master in the interviews.
Nikhil, one, one,
No, Raj, I
one
don't.
more question. Just one. Uh, if child work object saves in PC work in the same as a parent case, which column hold child work object data? Is it
So all
PZ
the
PV
data
stream
is
going to have
stored
a
in the same column PZPV
PZPV,
stream. Right.
PZPV stream is all the data stored. Going to have embedded pages in the parent child gets stored in separate rows or anything.
No, they will all get stored in the same PZPV stream. I mean, like, see, parent generally doesn't have a work object, right? In this case, generally we don't create in the parent. Only childs will have. So you keep only child work objects. Only different types of childs will be there, like education loan, vehicle loan, house loan. Only these data will be there. Generally, parents don't have work objects. I mean, like where we are sharing tables, I'm talking about. Okay, not the case management where you have a parent case and child case, not that. Raj, we will do that, Raj. See, now you're talking few things which may others may not understand, like embedded things and all. So as you keep moving, once everybody understand, we'll cover these kind of things. Okay, because others don't know that we have a parent case and child case concept in PEGA. They only know as of now parent class, child class. So I don't want to confuse them. Okay, let them also master on what we have completed, then we will do. Okay, guys.
Nikhila, Nikhila, sorry,
Yes, last
last
question.
question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, sorry. Actually, I was going through operator ID, so I just found in, I think in one of the interview question, like, is there anything like dynamic operator ID also?
No, no. What exactly you mean by dynamic operator ID? Creating operator ID dynamically or something else?
No, actually, I just found like dynamic operator ID. The question is asked, like, so I thought like to ask, like, is there anything which we
No.
creating, is
No,
a different or
maybe they
dynamic
mean
operator ID?
creating operator ID dynamically. Like I have told you, we have an rule in PEGA create operator. So maybe they are referring to that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, fine, guys. Please go to the recording and let's connect tomorrow again at the same time, 7 a.m.
Sure, Nikhila.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye. Have a nice day.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Nikhila.
Thank you, Nikita.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikhila.